The crash should have killed him. Eli Voss, Eli to the few people who still called him by his first name, remembered the screaming alarms, the violent shaking, and the impossible sight of fire tearing through the hull of his survey ship. Then darkness. When he opened his eyes again, the world was glowing. For a moment, he thought he was dead. Above him stretched a sky painted in shades of violet and deep blue. Stars shimmered through thin clouds like scattered diamonds. Trees surrounded him, their branches arching overhead in twisting patterns. But the trees weren't normal. Every leaf glowed. Soft blue light pulsed through them like blood through veins. Eli groaned and pushed himself upright. Pain immediately shot through his ribs. Fantastic, he muttered. Still alive. His ship lay several hundred meters away, half buried in the ground. Smoke rose from its shattered hull. That was not a good sign. Slowly, he staggered to his feet. His survival suit reported bruised ribs, dehydration, and several cuts, but nothing life-threatening. For now. The air tasted strangely sweet. His scanner flashed green. Breathable. At least he wouldn't suffocate. The rest of his situation was considerably worse. Ethos, 7. An uncharted world. Light years from the nearest colony. No communications. No rescue. No way home. Eli stared at the glowing forest around him. For the first time since the crash, fear settled into his chest. Not panic. Just loneliness. The kind that came when you realized nobody was coming. Nobody even knew where you were. He swallowed hard. Then he started walking. Hours passed. The deeper he traveled into the forest, the more beautiful the world became. Streams flowed with faint silver light. Flowers opened as he approached, glowing brighter before dimming again. The ground sparkled with tiny organisms that illuminated every footstep. It felt like walking through a dream. Or a memory. By sunset, or what passed for sunset on Ethos, 7, Eli's water supply was nearly G1. He needed shelter. Food. Something. Anything. Then he heard singing. He froze. The sound drifted through the trees. Soft. Melodic. Almost haunting. His pulse quickened. The scanner had detected life before, but nothing intelligent. Yet that voice. That was no animal. Eli followed the sound. The song grew clearer. Gentle notes rose and fell like waves. As he approached a clearing, he finally saw the source. And forgot how to breathe. She stood beside a glowing pool. Tall and graceful. Her skin shimmered faintly with pale blue light. Long silver-white hair flowed down her back. Patterns of bioluminescent markings curled across her arms and neck like living constellations. The markings pulsed softly with every note she sang. She looked almost human. Almost. But not quite. There was something ethereal about her. Something that made her seem part of the world itself. Eli stepped forward. A branch snapped beneath his boot. The singing stopped instantly. The woman spun around. Her glow. Her glowing eyes widened. For several heartbeats, neither moved. Then she bolted. Fast. Far faster than any human. Hey. Eli stumbled after her. I'm not going to hurt you. She vanished between the glowing trees. Gone. As though she'd never been there at all. Eli stopped. Panting. Great. First intelligent life he'd ever encountered. And he'd scared her away. That night was cold. Colder than expected. Eli managed to build a small shelter using emergency supplies from the wreck. Sleep came slowly. Every strange sound made him wake. Every rustle in the darkness put him on edge. Around midnight, he heard movement outside. He grabbed a tool and sat upright. Silence. Then another sound. Soft footsteps. Watching. Something was watching him. The feeling lingered until dawn. The next morning, he found food. Sort of. Several unfamiliar fruits had been left beside his shelter. Bright blue. Perfectly arranged. Eli stared. No animal had done that. Which meant, her. The mysterious woman. She'd returned a smile tugged at his lips despite himself. "Thank you," he said quietly. The forest offered no response. Days passed. The pattern continued. Whenever Eli left gifts, small carvings, polished stones, anything harmless, the items disappeared. And new things appeared in their place. Fruit. Water. Medicinal plants. Whoever she was helping him survive. Yet she never showed herself. Not directly. Until the storm. The sky darkened without warning. Thunder rolled overhead. The glowing forest dimmed. Eli had never seen the weather change so quickly. Rain began pouring from the sky. Within minutes, it became a torrent. Lightning flashed. The wind screamed through the trees. Eli ran for shelter. Then he heard a cry. A voice. Not far away. Someone was in trouble. He hesitated only a second before changing direction. The sound led him toward a ravine. Rain hammered against his suit. Mud slid beneath his boots. Then he saw her. The glowing woman. She was trapped. A fallen tree had collapsed across her leg. Water surged around her as the storm intensified. Her eyes widened when she saw him. Fear. Recognition, uncertainty. For a moment, neither moved. Then Eli rushed forward. The tree was enormous. Far too heavy. But together. Maybe. He braced himself. Come on. Pain shot through his ribs. The trunk shifted slightly. The woman stared. Then she understood. She pushed too. The glowing markings across her skin brightened. Slowly. Painfully. The trunk rolled aside. She pulled free. A second later, part of the ravine collapsed. Both of them tumbled into the mud. For a moment, they simply lay there. Breathing hard. Alive. The woman looked at him. Really looked at him. Not as a stranger. Not as a threat. As someone who had chosen to help. Rain streamed down her face. The markings across her skin shifted color. Blue. Then violet. Then a warm golden glow. Eli didn't know what it meant. But somehow it felt important. Very important. She slowly sat up. Then pointed to herself. Nyria. Her voice was soft. Musical, beautiful. Eli blinked. Then smiled. Eli. For the first time since arriving on Ethos 7, he wasn't alone. And for the first time in a very long time, that realization filled him with hope. The storm passed during the night. By morning, Ethos 7 glowed brighter than Eli had ever seen. Droplets of water clung to every leaf, each one reflecting the world's bioluminescent colors. The forest looked as though someone had scattered millions of tiny stars across it. Eli sat beside a small fire near his shelter. Across from him sat Nyria. The fact that she was still there felt almost unreal. Yesterday, she had spent days avoiding him. Now she sat quietly, only a few feet away. Neither knew how to speak the other's language. This made conversation difficult. And occasionally hilarious. Eli pointed to himself. Eli. Nyria nodded. Eli. A smile crossed her face. Then she pointed to the fire. Era. Fire. Era. Fire. Nyria's glowing markings brightened. Apparently, that meant he was correct. Over the next several hours, they repeated the process. Tree. Water. Sky. Stone. Food. Little by little, the gap between their worlds began to shrink. Not through technology. Not through translators. Just patience. Over the following weeks, a routine formed. Each morning, Nyria would arrive. Each evening, she would return to wherever her people lived. And every day they learned something new. Eli taught her human words. Nyria taught him hers. At first, it was simple. Then it became personal. One afternoon, she pointed at her chest. Nyria. Then pointed at him, Eli. Then she placed her hand over her heart, ashen. Eli tilted his head. What does that mean? Nyria thought for a moment. Then pointed at him again. A warm golden glow spread across the markings on her neck. Ashen. Friend. The translation clicked. His chest teened unexpectedly. It had been a long time since anyone had called him that. Ashen, he repeated. Nyria smiled. The golden light brightened. The more time Eli spent with her, the more fascinated he became. Her species communicated with more than words. The glowing patterns across their skin shifted constantly. Blue meant calm. Green meant curiosity. Purple often appeared when she was thinking deeply. Bright gold seemed connected to affection or trust. And red meant fear. Or danger. He learned that the hard way. They were gathering fruit near a river when a massive creature emerged from the water. It looked vaguely reptilian. If reptiles were the size of trucks. The beast let out a thunderous roar. Nyria's markings flashed red instantly. Eli didn't need a translation. Run. They sprinted through the forest. Branches whipped past. The creature crashed after them. Trees splintered beneath its weight. Eli. He glanced back. Big mistake. His foot caught a root. The ground vanished beneath him. He tumbled down a steep slope. Pain exploded through his shoulder. By the time he stopped rolling, everything hurt. The creature's roar echoed above. Then silence. Moments later, Nyria appeared beside him. Breathing heavily. Terrified. Her glowing patterns remained bright red. Nyria, I'm okay. She grabbed both of his shoulders. Her eyes searched him for injuries. When she realized he was alive, the red slowly faded. Gold replaced it. A lot of gold. For several seconds, she didn't let go. Neither did he. Something shifted between them that day. Neither spoke about it. But both felt it. The days became months. And friendship became something deeper. Though neither was brave enough to say it. Not yet. One evening, Nyria brought him somewhere special. A hill overlooking the forest. When darkness fell, Eli finally understood why. The sky exploded with light. Massive ribbons of glowing color stretched across the heavens. Green. Blue. Silver. Purple. An aurora unlike anything he had ever seen. The entire world seemed alive. Nyria sat beside him. Their shoulders nearly touched. For a long time neither spoke. Words weren't necessary. Finally Nyria pointed upward. Ethis. The planet? She nodded. Then pointed to the lights. The breath of Ethis. Eli smiled. I like that. She looked at him. Home. The word came slowly. One of the human words she'd learned. Home. Then she pointed to the glowing horizon. To the forests. To the sky. To herself. Home. Eli looked away. Because suddenly his eyes burned. Not from sadness. Exactly. Before the crash, he'd spent years drifting from world to world. Survey mission after survey mission. Always moving. Never staying. Never belonging. But sitting beside Nyria beneath the glowing sky. For the first time in years. He felt at peace. As the seasons changed, Eli finally met Nyria's people. And things did not go well. At first. The village was breathtaking. Living structures grown from crystal trees. Bridges woven from glowing vines. Thousands of lights dancing through the air like floating lanterns. But the moment Eli arrived, conversations stopped. Everyone stared. A human. An outsider. An unknown. Nyria remained close beside him. Yet many of the villagers seemed uneasy. Especially one elder. His markings glowed a cold violet. Not hostile. But wary. Very wary. After a long discussion Eli couldn't understand, the elder approached. Nyria translated as best she could. He asks, she paused. Searching for the words. Why humans stay? Eli considered the question. Then answered honestly. My ship is destroyed. Nyria translated. The elder listened. Then asked another question. One that surprised Eli. Why Nyria trust you? The village fell silent. Everyone waited. Even Nyria. Eli looked at her. At the woman who had fed him when he was starving. Protected him. Taught him. Believed in him. And somewhere along the way become the most important person in his life. Because she gave me a chance. Nyria translated softly. The elder studied him for a long moment. Then nodded once. The tension eased. Not completely. But enough. It was a beginning. Later that night, Nyria walked him back toward his shelter. The glowing forest stretched endlessly around them. Beautiful. Peaceful. Safe. When they reached the clearing, neither moved to leave. An awkward silence settled between them. Not uncomfortable. Just full of things neither knew how to say. Finally Nyria spoke. Eli. Yeah. The golden glow slowly spread across her skin. Brighter than he had ever seen. Almost like liquid sunlight. She seemed nervous. Which was strange. Nyria was rarely nervous. You. She searched for the words. Then smiled softly. You important. Eli forgot every prepared response in existence. His heart immediately decided to stop functioning. Oh. Brilliant answer. Absolutely brilliant. Nyria laughed. A genuine laugh. The sound was beautiful. Then she reached out. Carefully. Gently. And took his hand. Just for a moment. Only a moment. Yet somehow it felt like the beginning of something neither could stop. Nor wanted to. Above them, the stars of Ethos 7 shimmered. Watching. Waiting. As two hearts slowly found their way toward each other. Months passed on Ethos 7. The days blended together in the best possible way. Mornings spent exploring glowing forests. Afternoons helping Nyria's people gather food and tend their crystal gar. Dens. Evenings beneath skies filled with living light. Eli no longer counted the days since his crash. At some point, survival had stopped being his only goal. At some point, Ethos 7 had become home. And Nyria had become the reason. Though neither had spoken the words aloud. Not yet. Nyria. She looked at him. And for the first time since they met, she seemed scared. Not of him. Of what she was about to say. Eli. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I love you. The words were simple. Yet they struck him harder than anything else ever had. For a moment the entire world seemed to stop. The wind. The lights. Everything. Only her remained. Standing before him. Vulnerable. Hopeful. Terrified. Because she didn't know his answer. Eli stepped closer, then closer still. Until only inches separated them. You know, he said softly, for someone whose emotions literally glow, you're surprisingly hard to read. A nervous laugh escaped her. Then tears. Happy tears. Because she already knew. Before he even spoke. The gold spreading across his face wasn't visible. But she could see it in his eyes. I love you too. The words felt right. Like they had been waiting for a long time. A very long time. Nyria closed her eyes. Relief washing over her. Then she wrapped her arms around him. And Eli held her as though letting go would break something precious. Because maybe it would. The rescue ship arrived 3 days later. A bright star descending through the atmosphere. Humanity had finally found him. Exactly as he once dreamed. Yet now everything was different. The captain greeted him warmly. His survival was considered nearly miraculous. They could leave immediately. Return him to civilization. To Earth. To his old life. Eli looked toward the ship. Then toward Nyria. Standing among the glowing trees. Waiting. Not asking. Not begging. Simply allowing him to choose. Because love could not be demanded. Only offered. The captain noticed where he was looking. Then smiled slightly. Someone important. Eli laughed. More important than anything. The captain glanced toward Nyria. Then back at him. I think you've already made your decision. Hours later, the rescue ship departed. Without him. Its engines became distant stars. Then vanished entirely. The crew low. FT supplies. Technology. A communication relay. A way to contact humanity whenever he wished. But Eli remained on Ethos 7. Not because he was trapped. Not because he had no choice. Because he finally did. And this was the choice he wanted. Years later, travelers would occasionally visit Ethos 7. Scientists. Explorers. Diplomats. Many spoke of a human who lived among the luminous people. A man who helped bridge two worlds. A man who never seemed to regret staying. And whenever they asked why he chose this life, his answer was always the same. He would smile. Look toward the glowing forests. Toward the woman waiting for him beneath the crystal trees. And say, because sometimes you spend your whole life searching the stars for where you belong. Then Nyria would take his hand. The golden light of her markings shining brightly. And Eli would smile even wider. Then one day. He'd look at her. You realize where you belong has been searching for you too. Far above Ethos 7, the stars continued their endless dance. Ancient. Silent. Beautiful. And beneath their light, two souls from different worlds built a life together. Not because destiny demanded it. Not because fate commanded it. But because, given every possible choice, they chose each other. And that made all the difference.
If you like the story you have heard, subscribe for more out of this world stories of love beyond the stars.